Well, going through any change or transformation, there are a number of things that you need to balance and juggle at the one time. And the first thing that we really needed to look at was having a clear decision about what it is we're doing. And we were very clear that what we were embarking upon was individualising services for people, and ultimately, as people move into the community, those homes would close. The second thing was having a clear vision about what was possible for people. So our vision was that it was possible for people to choose where they want to live and with whom they want to live, and that was our clear drive and focus throughout this work. The third thing that we looked at was having a project team or clear people to lead the process, because there's so much work involved. It's very important that for us anyway, that we had dedicated people to lead on this work. Another element of the change is designing the services with people, and we call that the individual service design process. And the way that we worked with people was getting to know and understand their needs across a range of life domains, and that was looking at things like their health, their education, their vocational needs, their adaptive devices, transport, work, all of the areas of life that make life good for you and I. What we did was explored those with people over time to get a sense of what is your need in those areas, how will this need be met, and who is best placed to meet that need. And then we designed an individual service plan for each person, and that plan outlined the vision the person had for their own life, which was really important, and the model of service and how they wanted to be supported. And within that work, we also looked at where people were most vulnerable to make sure that we put safeguards in place to guard against this. So if someone had a particular health issue and may be vulnerable to catching colds, which could be detrimental to their health, we made sure we had a way to identify and capture that. If people were vulnerable perhaps at night time, we made sure that we put in place supports for people during the night so they always had access to that. Another bit of the work was working with individuals and their families. So this can be a very difficult and scary and fearful and stressful time for people. And some people were really willing and ready to move, and for other people the process took a bit longer. So we spent time building up very key trusting relationships with individuals and their families, and spent time talking about some of the things people were fearful about. And the other bit is showing people what's possible. So if you only ever lived in a group home, that's the only picture you have. So we would have given people the opportunity to meet or speak with the people who'd moved from group homes into their own place, and that was very powerful for people to get a picture of what might be possible. And then, of course, moving from group homes to the community, it's really important that we have good staff that know people well. So a lot of the work that we did was talking to our staff and talking to our unions about the role of staff in this process and how they would transfer from the group home into the community. And that wasn't always possible for everybody. So in the homes that we closed, some staff were made redundant, and that was a good outcome for the staff. And some staff applied for jobs, and they were able to come with and support the people in the community. The most important thing there is that the people with disabilities got to choose which staff they wanted to work with them, and they were part of the process. The other big element is supporting people to identify where they would like to live. So living in a group home, sometimes people have limited opportunities to have choice, and if you're being asked a very big decision about where you want to live, it's very hard to answer that. So we spent a lot of time helping people reconnect to perhaps where they came from before they moved into the institution or the group home, and trying to identify where they may like to live in the future. Another part of the work is trying to find accessible homes for people. So a lot of the people were on the housing waiting list, so they could apply for social housing. And some of the people that moved got their own social house. And a lot of the work we had to do was to make the homes accessible for individuals. Some people moved into private rental, and we would have worked with them and the landlords to make the rental properties accessible. And one or two people have money and were able to buy their own homes. So like anybody that's moving, it's a really big challenge about how you find a home and where that home is and how you make that home work for you. So it was no different for the people that moved from the group home. The other areas that we needed to look at was unbundling the money. So we had to carry out this change process within our existing budgets. So what we had to do was figure out how much it was going to cost for each individual in their new service arrangement, and at the same time extract that money from the home. And that's a very difficult process, but we learned it is absolutely possible to do that, and it got easier as we went along. And what we've found is the 15 people that moved, it is possible to support them with the money that we had in the group home, and in actual fact it's working out to be it costs a little less than what it did in the group home, so we were able to make some efficiencies along the way.